Oh, and we're good. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between. It's Saturday. I'm raising a mug. Steiner beer. Mm. The Motorhead tankard always makes the beer taste good, even though it's cheap, nasty beer. So here we are. The Saturday night's arrived. Last week I was going live over on the Facebook page, so you probably didn't see that if you're watching via YouTube. Just trying to blow the dust off. It's been a while since I've been back, but here we are. I'm back. Now, I've been kind of stuck for what I'm going to do, what I'm going to talk about. I've been coming up with some ideas throughout the week, and I can't keep talking about movies, and I can't keep talking about music. It's something I'd really like to do. I just don't know how to approach it too well, so, I thought I'd kick back, talk about some stuff I do know. Some things that you people out there might need to know to get closer to me. Who knows where we'll go with this, but we'll see. I'm titling this episode called The Faux Brummie as well. And for those of you that are wondering why I've gone with the title, The Faux Brummie, because most of my life, I'm from Birmingham, and for most of my life, people have always asked me, where are you from? I said, well, I'm from Birmingham. Oh, that's odd, you don't sound like you're from Birmingham. And I believe what they mean by that is I don't have the thick black country accent, which isn't Birmingham. Black country is not Birmingham. Walsall's not Birmingham. That West Bromwich, that's not Birmingham. Like, there's a little bit of an accent, and I'll honestly say the more of these that sink down me, the more of an accent starts to generally appear from me. But when you meet people and you don't sound all, how y'all doing? Y'all alright? It's good to see you. That's not Birmingham. It's not Birmingham at all, in the slightest. So, there's one thing that has been asked of me many times. I don't live in Birmingham anymore. I live in Leicester, which is not too far from Birmingham. Get a train, it's about 45 minutes to an hour to get into Birmingham. But people have often asked me, like, since I've lived there, I've been here about 3 years, roughly now, what do you think of Leicester? Like, is there any differences? Are there things that are different? Are there things that are the same? What's the situation? And it's a solid question because I usually say the first two things that come to mind, which is amphetamines and plastic surgery. These are the first two standout things I noticed when I first moved to Leicester. I'd lived in Birmingham my entire life, until I was 27, I believe it was, when I finally moved. Now, why do I say this? Well, the job I took positioned me in a warehouse amongst a bunch of other lads. And what became clear was most of these lads, they love some pills. They love some amphetamines. Most of their weekends were spent just taking pills, going raves, getting fucked up, as you do when you're young. I did it when I was young, not so much on pills. Dabbled here and there. But these lads would like go and buy like 100 pills and just spend their weekend just getting, as they would say, just pinging off their tits. And every week it was a story, even to the point where they would do it through the day. I'm pretty sure one of them was probably doing it through the day at work as well, in hindsight, but I could never be sure about that. I can't say I've been around many people in my lifetime who have like consumed pills in that huge regard. It was like every weekend, like even like the more elder people in the group, it seemed to be something that they were very well versed in. There was a culture surrounding amphetamines, pills, particularly in Leicester, that I never discovered in Birmingham. In Birmingham, it was more of a weed thing and a little bit of cocaine dipping around there, which is all good, which is all fun, as long as you don't go too heavy with it. But the pills thing was very different. As for the plastic surgery, when you see plastic surgery for the first time, it can take your eye. It really can. Now, I've been in Birmingham my entire life. It was a very like middle of the city area of Birmingham, like where I worked and lived. I could walk into the city centre inside of half an hour to 45 minutes. Where I am in Leicester, if you take like a 10-minute drive out of the area I'm in, you're in the countryside. There's a lot of nice houses, bigger houses, a lot of people with a lot of money, and generally I'll find, I never discovered it in Birmingham. I suppose I never met too many people in Birmingham with a lot of money. Particularly coming from the Aston, Erdington area. It's not a place you go if you're looking for the money people. But in this particular area I am in Leicester, I remember, I believe it was my first week, I walked into the showroom and there was a woman who you could see in her eyes she was an older woman. There's no way breasts should be up here, like, at all, without some severe surgery. You know, like, people that have, like, Botox jabs and plastic surgery, you can see it in their faces, especially if it's the Botox. This woman had, like, she was a good looking woman, very nice looking woman, but you could see she had no facial expression. Like, nothing here was moving. Like, I couldn't, like, I made a joke, I didn't know if she was smiling or what, if she was having some sort of like you're laughing, you can't move your face, sort of like like Jack Nicholson from Batman, like his face doesn't move, that facial that grin that doesn't move. So when your face is it's kind of unnerving. It was a little unnerving, but there was several people, mostly women, who'd had surgery and regular Botox situations. It's not something I'm against. If you've got the money and you want to do it, you want to do something that makes you happy, by all means, do something that makes you happy. It's just very different when you spend your whole life not seeing it, and then suddenly in a week or two, you're just bombarded with fake breasts and Botox faces and tummy tucks and possible arse implants. I can't confirm nor deny that one, as much as I'd probably like to. But these were some of the immediate things I discovered from being in the immediate Leicester area. There's like I've noticed it amongst a lot of the women. It's money brings status in so many people's lives. Now I do not doubt that this is across the length and breadth of the entire planet, but it's the first time I've been in direct vicinity of people whose money gives them an element of status. The kind of people that they buy something, they've got to show it off to you, but it's not a case of just showing it off to you. They've got to like tell you the brand name of the thing that they bought. I don't know brand names. I don't do brand names. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I got the piss taken out of me the other day because I have bought Skechers as a pair of shoes. Not the first pair of Skechers that I've ever owned, but as soon as I announced it to this person that will go unnamed, they called me an old man, because in their circle of people, only old people wear shoes that are Skechers. And I've heard a particular stand-up comedian that I'm a fan of also bring that up as well. Now, I remember when I was a kid and we got cable, not digital, cable, which was like the little box. You got 99 channels, 30 of them were radio stations, and there was probably only really 10 to 15 that anyone actually watched. But there was always Skechers adverts on. Skechers were like these young hip trainers. I'd never heard of Skechers before. I ain't heard a lot of stuff at that age. But it was always like the young, trendy, hip shoes to wear. But they're apparently seen as old people shoes for what they are. And the thing I always said about I bought my first pair of Skechers about 8 years ago, and I put them on, and I walked around on them. And my first reaction was, it's like walking on clouds. So imagine my surprise at age 30 when I'm watching said comedian talk about old people and Skechers, and the things that they say, the thing that they say when they wear them is, it's like walking on clouds. You know why they say that? Because it's true. It is like walking on clouds. They are delightful to wear. I have another pair arriving in a week. I haven't bought this is the second pair of Skechers I'll ever have owned. I'm really looking forward to wearing them because honestly, I've had Nike, I've had Adidas, I've had off-brand shoes. Nothing has been comfier than a pair of Skechers. I am not too concerned with outside views that other people have. That people seem to latch on to weird little things like that they hold as truth, that they hold as genuine. So in the public's mind eye, Skechers for old people, and if you wear white socks, that means you're a virgin. I mean, if I wear white socks, it's probably because I've run out of black socks. It doesn't determine my sexual orientation. Is that the word? Might not be the word, but I'm going with that word. Beer's going down nice, too nice. I'm going to have to put that down. We'll try and put that down because, oh god, I'm already halfway through it. It means I've got to go get another one afterwards. Which is never a bad thing. But another thing about Leicester is how I found areas defined people to a degree. Now, I found in Birmingham, you'd have areas, and it was usually in the more shittier, rundown areas, your Northfield sort of area, your Wheelie Castle, like people grip on to the area that they're from, and to a degree, it defines them. And I found in Leicester the area sort of defined them more. There was a few people I met who came from particular areas of Leicester. Beecham, I believe, is the one, and Ayers Monsell, maybe the Monsell as they call it. We'll get to the names of these areas in a minute, but it sort of defines them. It's just I remember working with this one kid who could not spell for shit. He couldn't spell. I mean, I won't go into too much of fuck it, he couldn't spell door. And I'm not gonna lie, someone I'm living with asked me how to spell door yesterday. It's a 4-letter word, D-O-O-R. So when someone spells door wrong, it kind of blows your mind. I remember like going up to this person and saying, "Do you really not know how to spell that?" And I didn't know if he was taking the piss or being genuine, but the whole reaction was, "Well, it pisses off smart people doing it." Not really. Smart people don't regard you, and if you think that spelling a four-letter word is smart, you ain't going very far in life. I don't know what this person's doing now in his life because I don't work with him. I'd be curious. Last I heard, he was going to college. I don't even think he could spell college, to be entirely honest. I'd be surprised he could fucking find the damn thing. But area names in Leicester are strange. It's very strange. I consider myself quite a good reader, a strong reader. I like to read. I don't do as much reading as I probably should. But when you look at the name of something, it should be what it says, unless it has, say, connotations relating to maybe another country, a slightly off spelling, something different. Like, for instance, if I go to Northfield in Birmingham, it is Northfield. Bartley Green, pick anything. Bartley Green, Boardsey Green, Kitts Green, Hall Green. Excuse me. Where else we got? Erdington, Aston, Selly Oak. All these places you could probably spell by just hearing them. Right. So I've had this like mentioned to me a few times at work. There are three that stick out, but I can't really remember what the third one was. Something that I called Belvoir. I'm not sure what that particularly is, but I'm sure it's spelled Belvoir. Right, we've got one. Groby. Grobby. Apparently it's not spelled Grobby, and I'm often told it's wrong. It says Grobby. The sign says Grobby. It's spelled Grobby. Apparently you pronounce it Grooby. No. If it was Grooby, it'd have an extra O, or maybe a U. It's Grobby. It says Grobby. There's no E in there. Maybe an E after the B. Grobby. It says Grobby. It's spelt Grobby. It's not Grooby. It's Grobby. This is what I believe about Leicester. I believe at a certain point someone looked at the names of the areas where they were from, and someone somewhere in the past just said something different, just for the sake of saying something different. Maybe some kid on the playground taking the piss, and it spread. And it spread and it spread over the course of years. People just went with it. Biggest one that gets me. In Northfield, there was an area called the Beecham. It was a shitty area. But Beecham, spelt as it sounds, Beecham, or Beecham, that's how it was spelt. I'm reading out an address one day at work. Apparently, it's called Kibworth Beecham. It's spelled Kibworth Beauchamp. 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 But Beauchamp. But you put it together, I get a French connotation from it, and I automatically pronounce it Beauchamp. And I'm still calling it that. I refuse to call it anything else. I don't care how many of you Leicesterfarians take the piss out of me for it. It's spelled Beauchamp. It should be pronounced Beauchamp. I just think there's someone in the past history of Leicester who doesn't like the French. I'm convinced there's some connections to the French in Leicester's history. I would probably dive into this if I cared enough, but I don't. But it's spelled Beauchamp, not Beecham. Like, if it was Beecham, you get rid of the U, you get rid of the P. Beecham. It's pronounced Beauchamp. Beauchamp. I might have spelled it wrong when I just said it right there, but it's Beauchamp. I can see it's Beauchamp. I say Beau because the word Beau is the name of the Birmingham City Football Club team mascot, Beau Brummie. It's spelt the same way Beauchamp is spelt. It's Beauchamp. Except the fact that you've got French connotations in your areas. And we'll all be happier moving forward. We really will. Anyway, I'll continue to say it in my workplace. If it still garners a smile. Or gets the piss taken out of me, which it probably will, but that's life. On completely unrelated news, 2 weeks, still on it. It's delightful, still not hitting the same. Very tempted for a cigarette, I like a cigarette. Will say, being off cigarettes, I am eating food left, right, and centre. I cannot stop eating, at all. Which will lead me into my next story. Cravings. we have cravings. You quit smoking, you will start craving things. Like, you don't know what you're craving most of the time, but you'll just want to consume shit. Pregnant women, you'll have cravings. You'll want some particular shit, and if you don't get it quick, you'll probably be craving something else. But one day, I'm at work. I got the cravings. Like, it's middle of the afternoon. I've been eating all day. I want more food. I just want to consume some crap. So I'm thinking, like, what do I fancy? What do I really want? Snaps. The crisps, snaps, tomato flavoured snaps, a little crocodile in the Letterman jacket, snaps. You cannot go wrong with snaps. The other thing I wanted was Skips. Can someone out there explain to me what's happened to Skips? I can't find Skips for love nor money. Like, this was like a standard snack that was in every shop, everywhere you went. Prawn cocktail snaps. Stick them fuckers on your tongue and you just feel the melt. Glorious. I used to shove loads of them into my face as a kid because Skips are the one. Can't find Skips anywhere, makes me sad. But snaps and Skips, couldn't find Skips, so I had to go with the snaps. What else did I get? Pack of Maryland cookies, classic red. You gotta love some cookies. They taste a little different from what I remember, but otherwise, the fact that I'm not smoking, taste buds are returning. I can taste things that I've never tasted before, or at least didn't taste to their full capacity because my tongue was just dead. Dead taste buds from years and years of smoke abuse. Thank God that's over. But anyway, couldn't get my skips. So I got my snaps. Got some Bombay mix. Can't go wrong with some Bombay mix. Pack of cookies. And the other craving. The one other craving I had. KP nuts. Salted nuts. Salted or dry roasted. In this particular case, I really fancied a pack of salted KP nuts. So I'm in the shop. Little 65 gram bag for 70 odd p. Got my nuts. Got my snaps. Got my cookies. Got my Bombay mix. Got a little can of Coke. In a bag. Back to work. Laid my distribution out on the table. And got snacking. And I'm eating away and I'm eating away. I'm having a great time. It's time to break open the nuts. Break open those nuts. In they go. Something tasted wrong. Something didn't taste right with my nuts. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I suddenly couldn't taste the nuts. Now, in this modern current age that we're living in, if you suddenly can't taste something, there's usually a reason to get a slight panic. I didn't have that panic. I've already done that. I lost my taste buds a few weeks ago due to a certain unnamed virus. So I wasn't too worried about it because I could taste my snaps, I could taste my Bombay mix, I could taste my cookies. Why can't I taste my nuts? Why can't I? What's wrong with my nuts? There's something wrong with these nuts. So I distribute them out to a couple of the lads that I'm surrounded by. I'm like, try my nuts. What's wrong with my nuts? Do they taste salty? Am I not tasting the salt? Can you taste salt on my nuts? So they ate my nuts. And they concurred. These aren't salty nuts. These are just plain old nuts. And I was gutted. I was generally gutted because, like, nuts. I love nuts. Big old pile of nuts. All the nuts. But these salty nuts had no salt on them. And I was gutted and I was sort of like, this is kind of bummed me out a little bit. Like, despite the Bombay mix and the snaps and the cookies, the nuts were kind of like the topper. Nuts are always great. I wish I had nuts right now. Like, we'll get to why I don't have nuts. However, ooh, take a sip of that. However, truly gutted, saltless nuts. Pack said salted nuts. 65 grams of KP salted nuts, the ones in the blue bag. So I had no choice. I was mortally disappointed. Mortally disappointed by the fact that my nuts weren't salty. So I did the only logical thing that a man can do. I emailed KP Snacks and complained about there's no salt on my nuts. I only really did this because I had nothing better to do at the time. Yeah, it's a little bit Karen, the thing that I did, but you know what? Don't care. There was no salt on my nuts. So I emailed KP Nuts, or KP Snacks directly and explained, like, I'm quitting smoking. Like your nuts were going to make me feel, like, better. I'm tempted to now run out and go buy cigarettes because there was no salt on my nuts. I wasn't, but, you know, you throw it in for dramatic cause. And I sent them an email via their page. And I wish I'd saved what I'd written. It was very long and it was very overdramatic. Anyway, they sent me an email back saying they'd confirmed my email and they'll be back with me inside of 5 days. And it lit a fire in me, a pure burning consumeristic fire that I want this issue resolved. I want my salty nuts, damn it. I'm gonna get my salty nuts. So alas, I have to walk around with the saltless nuts in my pocket for a few days because they said they might get in contact with me, they might call me, I might have to give them some reference numbers off the pack and I'll have to explain. So I carried the saltless nuts in my pocket for the next 2 days until I returned home yesterday. And it was a glorious day. There's a letter. What's in this letter? I don't know. I opened it. It's from KP Snacks. They sent their grandest apologies. A delightful little letter. And £2 worth of vouchers for nuts. I only spent 65p on my nuts. I would have been happy with like replacement nuts. But you know what? £2 vouchers. I can get all the KP nuts on one. However, I don't have nuts yet. Why don't I have nuts, I hear you ask? I don't have nuts because no one in any of the local shops can confirm to me if they will take my vouchers for my nuts. So I have had to leave a voucher at my local shop, and the delightful lady that works there will get back to me about if they will accept my nut vouchers. I hope they do. I'm here with a beer. I've got 4 more beers downstairs. I would very much like to have nuts with my beers. However, the particular lady that I went to see wasn't working at the shop today, so I may not know if I'm going to get any nuts today. I could easily shut out for nuts, but I really want some salty nuts. They don't have salty nuts. They have the honey roast nuts, which are nice. They are very nice, but it's not salty nuts. I want salty nuts. I'd like some. I got £2 worth of KP vouchers for nuts. I'm gonna get me some salty nuts. I'm gonna get me some dry roast nuts. Out my own money, and I'll probably get the honey roast nuts as well. Selection of 3 nuts and beer. That's all you need in life. Like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer's just sat there, snacks all around him. That's me. That's me. Like just downstairs in the house. I'm loving it. It's delightful. Anyway, run on a tangent there. Like we went into the KP nut story. The KP nut story brings me to another thing as well. Why is it every area has that one grotty shop? That one shop that it doesn't seem to have come out of the 1990s. Like you can see they had a refurb in about 1997. And then since then, they've just not bothered, like, doing anything. It's just like, they just keep buying shit into the shop and they just push it out front. You know these shops when you go in. Usually it's like, it looks a bit crappy from the outside. Usually it's got, like, a sign outside on top that says, like, it still has, like, we sell Marlboro cigarettes. Like, if you ever see that, it's a grotty shop. Or if it's got, like, Kodak or Fuji. I don't know if Kodak still has, like, little kiosks or stands. But, like, you used to go to shops in the 90s. And because you didn't have digital cameras, you had, like, clicky wind-up cameras, or like people had professional film cameras, and like you'd have like Fujifilm or Kodak or one of those Coca-Cola signs on the front of the place. If you see a shop that looks like that, you'll spot it because all the signs are all really like faded and all the paintwork's chipping off the front of the buildings. They haven't done anything with it for nearly 25 years. But you walk in and it's just got like a sense of that's the only way you can describe it. When you walk in, they usually have a pretty large porn collection in these shops, and it's because it's such an old shop. Like most modern shops now, you like when I was a kid, you go into a shop, you go to the magazine rack, and like you'd have like your newspapers, and you'd have your kids stuff, then you'd have like the interest, like the camera books or the movie magazines or the music magazines. But then you look up and it's just tits, just like a shelf full of just tits everywhere. And like that's what I often go up to the like magazine rack when I was a kid. It's like, yeah, looking at the B&O, looking at the B&O, tit. Or you can like look down to the left and there's like the Daily Star or the Sunday Sport or something like that. But still, just a shelf full of tits. We got to a point in our culture now where apparently it's unacceptable to have that. So like all these magazines I notice now they have like grey faceless covers put on them, so you can't see the tits, which is a shame. Like, there's nothing like walking into a shop and there's some tits. I mean, I think if you walked into anywhere in life and there's just some tits on display, it just makes everything a little bit better. Like, yeah. But you can't do that anymore. It offends people. People don't like to be offended. People get very upset about offence. So, but you can always tell a grotty shop. Like, you'll walk in and they'll have, like, this particular shop that I'm talking about doesn't have the grey thing on the porn. It's just literally, there's some tits. And they're there on the left as soon as you walk through the door. So you can literally just walk in and it's wall of tits. And then there's like a fridge right in front that's got clearly like homemade sandwiches that they've been making in the kitchen in the back in like crappy packaging. It's like, okay, it's a fair idea. It's probably a good way to get income, but the sandwiches never look good. Like, it looks like a sad sandwich, and it costs like £1.50. It's very sad. It's like if you go into a pub and they have like cobs behind the bar, they look really nice. Like, I'll take a pub cob anytime. God, you remember pubs? Do you remember pubs? Pubs were great. I miss pub. When a pub opens, I hope I find a pub that's got the cobs behind the bar, a ham salad, a cheese and onion. I don't care which. Just give me a pub and give me a £1 crusty cob with it. Oh, God, I miss them pubs. But, like, these shops have just got, like, sad sandwiches. Not even cobs, just sad, limp sandwiches, and they look pathetic. But you also, like, you'll notice there'll be, like, a toy rack with toys that no one would ever in their right mind buy. There's usually, like, the one that'll catch the boys are like the gun, or something like that. But then, you'll look and you'll see VHS tapes, like, blank VHS tapes, still on sale, covered in, like, dust. And they've been there for that long that all the colour has drained from the packaging, and they've got, like, this weak green tint to the cardboard box surrounding it. And you have to sort of look at the shopkeeper and think, what are you doing? Like, the VHS died out about 20 years ago. Take them off the goddamn shelf. I mean, one particular one, we had one in Aston, and it was run by this old couple. And when I mean old couple, I mean, like, the moisture had been sucked and drained from their body. They were that old. They were prune people, and they made prices up on the spot. Like, they really did. Like, you go in there, you buy, say, a bag of crisps. One day it's 50p, you go in the next day, 65p. You go in after that, it's 70p. Sometimes it'd go down to 40p if it was a really good day. But you could never guarantee what the prices were in that place. I'm always, like, kind of wary of shops that don't have the little scanner that scans the prices, because the prices are preloaded onto that. You scan it, that's the price. But when they don't have that, and they just stand there and go, then they tell you the price. They're making that shit up. In that case, put your shit down, turn around, walk away, go to a different shop, because they're making it up. They don't know. They really don't know. This one particular shop, though, was grotty. It was one of those shops. It had the drained out VHS cases. It had a glass cabinet, like, full of, like, I don't know what it was. Just, like, a weird glass cabinet in the shop. And there'd be, like, again, VHS tapes, cassette tapes in there. Not with anything on, just blank cassette tapes. Like, I'm going back about 5 years. So in 2015... no one's buying blank cassette tapes or VHS tapes. Just, what are you doing? But it was grotty as well, because it was one of those, like, you could see floorboard, they had carpet that they clearly not changed since the 90s, and all the carpet ripped up from years and years of people being in there. It was more like walking on dirt, because it's one of those places they never vacuum. So it's just like walking on the ground outside when you walk into these shops. I remember one particular person I know went into one of these shops, and this is how lazy they were. Like, you go into any modern shop now, like, crisps and chocolates are laid out for display in, like, a little rack or a little counter or whatever. These guys didn't. They just dragged the box from the warehouse in the back, dumped it in the shop, cut a hole in it, and like, you'd reach in and you'd pull your crisps out. One day, one chap that I worked with went into this shop, got himself a bag of crisps, reached into the box and got scratched. Because the shop owners had a cat, and it was the grottiest, nasty-looking cat you've ever seen in your life. And he used to sleep in the crisp boxes, and they just allowed it. Like, you're selling food to the people, and you're going to let a cat sleep in there to the point where it's attacking the customers. Like, my man's gone in there and wants himself a bag of Walker's salt and vinegar. He's coming out with cat scratch fever. What is that about? They're not at that shop anymore, by the way. They got bought out by another lovely couple, and they redid the shop, and it was much more nicer. In fact, they had a lady working behind the counter there she was alright to look at. I might have to visit there again at some point. And back on, well, still in the situation of grotty shops, I got my saltless KP nuts from one of these grotty shops. Now, don't get me wrong, he's got a scanner in the shop, so he's not making up prices. And the bloke who runs it, very friendly, very nice man. I mean, he leaves the tits on display. You've got to appreciate that if you are, in fact, a person who appreciates some tits. Don't appreciate the sad sack sandwiches in the fridge in front of him. But, like, I go in there, I'm always very friendly with him. He's always very friendly with me. We have a quick conversation. We do our business quick, and we move on. But I was stood in there buying my snacks the other day. And I'm stood there, and I'm looking around. I'm like, what else can I buy? What else can I eat? Is there anything else I want? And then all of a sudden, I felt something underfoot. I thought, like, maybe I'd knocked a chocolate bar off the racks or something like that, or there was something I knocked over. Nah, it was a half-eaten apple. Like, and it had been there for a while, 'cause you know, like, when you, like, leave an apple out and it starts going all brown and dry and crusty. Yeah, this had easily spent a couple of hours rolling around the floor. I didn't really mention it to the guy, because I just wanted to get my snacks and get the hell out of there, but, yeah, small little dingy shop filled with wares that no one's ever going to buy and rotting apples on the floor. I think I'll, walk to the spa next time maybe. But grotty shops, who's got a grotty shop in their area? Someone out there's got a grotty shop. Tell me about your grotty shop. I'm pretty convinced every area has a grotty shop. I have found mine. I'm sure, well, that's the one by my work. I'm sure I've got one where I live, not too far from here. Like, not the shop with the ladies that work there. That's a lovely shop. That's a fantastic shop. But I'm sure they're always very dark and dingy. They feel like there might be a brothel in the back, or someone's cooking up some drugs, or something like that. I'm going to take a quick beer break here. Let's take a sip. Good God, this is getting a lot. Half an hour chat. I'm nearly out of beer. It's not good because I've still got another page. But I've taken care of some of the stuff on this page. We've done the KP nut situation. That's fine. Oh, that cuts out the grotty shop area as well. Tell you a story that I did hear today, and it made me laugh. It really made me laugh. Facebook filters. Girls love Facebook filters. I don't know many lads that have Facebook filters, or at least use Facebook filters. Me and my missus will occasionally send pictures to each other and put Facebook filters on. They're gone now, so we can't do that. However, a real life existing Facebook filter, and it made me laugh so much. I'm speaking to a lady that I work with, and she goes to a rugby club. There's another thing about Leicester. Rugby. A lot of people love rugby around here. Like, a lot of lads seem to play rugby. People go and watch the rugby. There's also a basketball team. Like, people seem to really be down with that as well. That's really interesting, I find, because in Birmingham it's just football. There's a cricket ground, but not really a lot of people talk about going to the cricket. There's some people that like to go to the cricket, but cricket's not really a sport you go watch and cheer at. That's something you take a load of beers and get pissed on a field while it happens. I'd never liked the idea of going to cricket as well, because that ball's hard. And that shit just flies. It absolutely flies at people. Like, I've never seen a cricket ground, like a professional cricket ground, or been in there. I live not too far from it, but I never went there. But no, in Leicester, football, rugby's the big one. Rugby's probably bigger than football up here, to be entirely honest. So many people go and play it and go to rugby clubs and whatnot. And there's one particular story. A lady and her fella, they go to the rugby club. The fella plays rugby, so they all go, and all the rugby players go there, and all their wives and girlfriends and whatever families go there, and it's like a big social club, and everyone has a good time, does what they does at clubs and bars. God, I miss clubs and bars. Good God. But anyway, this one particular rugby club, I don't know which one it was, I fail to remember the name, had a mirror. You know, a mirror in the ladies' toilets, and the mirror was a little... It wasn't fitted very well, apparently, and it acted like a carnival mirror, and all the women in this club loved this mirror. They loved it. Why did they love it? Because it was like a carnival mirror. So these women would get dressed up, and they'd go to their husbands to the club, and they'd go to this mirror, and they'd look in this mirror, and this mirror would make all of them look a little bit taller, and a little bit slimmer, maybe a little bit curvier as well. And it was great for their self-confidence, this lie, this illusion on the wall, it's a lie, it's not real, but they'd see themselves in this light, and it'd make them feel good, and that's I don't know how to take that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's like Facebook filters. Like, there's many women or girls out there that plaster their faces with these Facebook filters to make their eyes look a little bit bigger or a little bit brighter, or to make their complexion look great. It makes them feel good, but it's not real. It's a lie. It's all a lie. The best you can do in real life is put some makeup on. And even then, that can be worrying what people can do with makeup. But regardless, this mirror made all these women feel fantastic, and it gave them a little, oh, don't I look good? And it was all in good laugh, and it was all for fun. I'm sure I'm probably just being a nasty bastard about this. But the club had a refurb, and when they had the refurb, they took the mirror down, and apparently a majority of the women that went to this club actually stormed into the place and demanded the management put that mirror back. That made me laugh, and looking back on it, it's a little bit concerning. It's like the mirror from Harry Potter that shows you shit that's not there, it shows you what you want. It's not real, and Dumbledore warns Harry, don't sit in front of the mirror too much, because it will take your life from you, dreaming of things that can't be. This mirror is the same. It's the Harry Potter mirror in the rugby club in Leicester, and all these women are making themselves look curvier and taller in it, and it's not true. It's all a lie, and they like strong-armed the management into putting that mirror back so they could have a lie. A lie. It does tickle me. I am probably just being a nasty bastard about that whole thing. But that was a great story, and it really did make me laugh. The real-life Facebook filter, the Harry Potter mirror lurking in a rugby club somewhere in Leicester. Muggles. I mean, the only other thing, I got a few other things that I can just ramble on about here. I'm convinced there's a guy that works for my company that doesn't know what his job is. Like, you ever, they could say, like, you've taken a job, and there's a big complicated description when you're reading about what the job entails and what the job role is, and in reality, you don't know what the fuck it does. So you sort of go to other people and try and figure out what your job is. I'm convinced there's a chap in my company that keeps making shit up. Like, every now and then someone walks into his office and asks him something, and he just decrees anything that he can get off the top of his head to make it look like he's doing something, and whatever he decrees seems to happen. So, for instance, we've got a recycling system at work. We used to have recycling bins, but we got rid of them in favour of our own recycling. So we have like these big pallet collars, like 4 pieces of wood on hinges, and you put them on a pallet, and then you throw scrap wood in there. And originally we would have like a big flat wooden cover board, and we put it on top of the pallet before putting these collars on there, because otherwise shit would fall through the bottom. Anyway, after a couple of months, they decided, no, you can't do it. You can't have the cover board at the bottom. Have the cover board at the top. Seems pointless, because now shit occasionally falls out the bottom, and it involves Jason sweeping the floor. He does a great job sweeping the floor, does our Jason. So that was one thing. And then the other day, I'm at work, and suddenly I noticed the lads are like taking our scrap wood products, and they're like taking like the plastic packaging and the wrapping off them. I was all like, what's the crack there? He's like, oh, it's a new rule that's come from up above. We can't have the plastic packaging remaining on the wood products that we're sending back because it will contaminate the wood. I don't know how that works. I don't, because the wood comes in plastic packaging, so that would mean it's already contaminated. I mean, for months we've been sending this shit back still with its packaging on, and it's not been a problem. But now we have to strip all the plastic off these wood products before we send them back. So it says to me that someone at the other end has got a bug up his arse about having to take this plastic off the wrapping, and has complained about it so much to the bloke that doesn't know what his job is, that he has decreed it as a new thing, and the company's gone with it. So instead of them taking plastic off it, we've got to take the plastic off it. I mean, it's not a big deal by any stretch of the imagination. It's just weird how it comes about. And then there's the other one, like we take the cardboard off the wood. I mean, that's fine. We've got separate recycling for that. That's all good. Just making the job just a little bit longer. Just giving us more to do, which at the minute isn't a problem. But then it comes down to other weird little things like the Howdens sign that we have on the front. But we had a refurb recently. Whole new refurb, and it was wonderful. New showroom. They moved some shit around in the warehouse. And despite my constant complaining over the course of months, you know what? It works. It works. I'll hold my hands up. I'm wrong about some shit sometimes. It works. There's some stuff I'm glad that I pushed back on. But otherwise, it works. So no dramas. But we had like a new sign put out the front of the building, and then after 3 months, I'm pretty convinced it's the same guy that keeps making like random rules up, decided that they should invert the colours of the sign and replace the sign. God, that took about 3 months to get done. It's really weird. Like, we had the sign fitted, and then they decreed that they're going to invert the colours, so we got to change the sign. In fact, did they even invert the colours? I think they maybe slightly changed the font that was on the letter E of the company name. Then they decided to invert the colours. Probably decided to do that because they realised changing the signs because they changed the fonts is kind of useless. But they came out, and the bloke showed up to fit the sign, but they couldn't fit the sign because they didn't have the scissor lift to get to the side of the building, so they sat on the car park for a week doing nothing. And then they went away, and then the scissor lift showed up maybe 3 weeks later, but the lads weren't there to do the job. Then they took the scissor lift away. Then a couple of weeks later, the scissor lift came back. And then about a week after that, the lads came over to do the job. But they didn't have the new sign. So they sat on the car park for a week or two. And then they took the scissor lift away. And then the lads went away. Then the sign showed up. But the lads weren't there. So they took the sign away. Then the lads came back. And the sign showed up. So they took the sign off one van, put it into the other van. But they didn't have the scissor lift. So they had to go away again. Then the scissor lift showed up. And then he sat there for a week. Then the lads showed up to do the sign. But they wouldn't fit the sign because there was apparently asbestos where the sign was. Which, was curious because the sign was only fitted a couple of months ago. The original sign was fitted a couple of months ago. And there was no complaint of asbestos then. They just got the sign done. So the lads went away again. And they journeyed off. And then they finally came back after a couple of weeks with their asbestos suits, which was really just a giant condom and a pair of gloves that they had to wear. And the scissor lift actually showed up, and the sign got changed, and everything was better for it. No one really noticed. No one gave a damn. What a delightful waste of money. It took 3 months. Maybe 4. But yeah, what a delightful waste of money. I'm sure it's that guy in that office just making shit up. He's just says something to a manager. I changed the sign. Change where we put the cover board. Just panic. Just sheer panic. Strangeness. You look at people who make these decisions while you're carrying heavy fucking stuff around on your back all day long and wonder, why don't I have that job? I don't know why I don't have that job. Maybe it's because I complain too much. I do a lot of complaining. Not so much now. I've stopped smoking. I'm more open and more bright and more exuberant. But otherwise, this sort of bringing me to the end of my topics. Well, one more thing I've got to bitch about. One more thing. I've had enough of this now. It winds me the fuck up. This particular thing winds me up so much. And it happened to me today. It really, really gets on my tits. Crumpets, pikelets, whatever you call them. I call them crumpets. They're delicious. I love them. Done nicely, smothered in butter. Have them with some bacon. Have them with some sausage. Have them on anything like crumpets. They're the business. They really are. What's with the packaging? Crumpet packaging irritates the life out of me because they usually give them a pack of 6. 3, cardboard underneath, and this little wrapper. I don't know about other. I'm talking specifically Kingsmill here. 3, cardboard underneath, and a little wrappered packaging. I don't know anyone who has 3 crumpets off the bat. Maybe if you've got a family, maybe that makes more sense. But as one person, I'll have 2 crumpets as standard. 2 crumpets in the toaster, bang, job done. Means I'm left with 4 crumpets, 3 on one side, 1 on the other side. Or I can try and reach in the pack and pull that one out, and I've got 2 on either side. The problem is the packaging's so fucking dainty. It just rips. You can't fold it over, you can't tie it like bread, and then you end up with exposed crumpet. I might not want a crumpet the next day. I might want a crumpet a few days after, in which case I come to my crumpets and part of it's dried out because the packaging doesn't wrap around it, because the packaging's crap. Sort out, can we do something? Can we start a petition or something to sort out the packaging on Kingsmill crumpets? Put it in bread packaging. What's wrong with that bread stuff? Bread packaging's great. You can twist it, you can tie it, get a little tie on there. But as soon as you take shit out of a Kingsmill crumpet pack, it just rips, always up the side, just tears. I tried to fold the cardboard around it the other day and not rip the packaging, but it's an impossibility. It's the sensitive, crappiest packaging I've ever seen on crumpets. I just thought I'd get that out there. That's something that really bothered me this morning. I went to the shop, I bought myself some crumpets. I'm going to have some sausage and crumpets for breakfast, some brown sauce, and a coffee, and some orange juice on the side. And, the crumpet pack just... Good God, this is what not smoking's done to me. It really has. Earpods. I had a thought about earpods. Earpods, they're headphones that aren't wired. They come in a little case. You pop them in the ears, they fit. They seem like a good idea. They don't feel like a good idea. I would say I'm one for losing shit. When I get home, I have a certain place that I put my things, and there's a shelf. And on that shelf goes my wallet, goes my keys, goes my headphones. I like having wired headphones. Pop them in, run it through my coat, job done. If I go into a shop, just take them out, and they just dangle there. Great. Earpods, you can't really do that with. You gotta take one out, I've got to get the case out. I've got to put that in there. I'm probably going to take the other one out because it's annoying. They get dirty. They get filthy. You lose one pod. You're fucked. You lose your case. You're fucked. Don't get that problem with wired headphones at all. If you don't charge them, you're fucked. I don't get that problem with wired headphones. I get different problems, actually, with wired headphones. My phone earlier this week went a bit weird with my headphones. Like, the one just cut out. And they're old headphones, to be fair. I've had them a while. The one headphone cut out. And I can't listen to stuff if I've got one active headphone. Like, especially if you're listening to music. Like, you got usually, like, the beat and the drums coming through on one. And if you're not getting the beat and the drums, it's not the same. Or you're listening to a podcast and you're only really hearing one person properly in the one headphone. So I bought some new headphones. I plugged them into my phone. My phone didn't even register them, doesn't even recognise them. So I had to go around the office and be like, yo, bro, like, plug this into your phone. These headphones work for you. Everyone in the office they work for, like, plug them into anyone's phones. They work first time, off the bat, great. Mine, no. Gotta really force the fucking things in there. Like, it fits in properly. But it's temperamental on when it accepts things. Like, I can't have nice things. It's really annoying. It really does bug me sometimes. It's like, what was the other thing? You know what, I'm not going to get into the issue I had with work the other day. It wasn't even a work issue. It's like travelling back and forth to work. You know what, I'm going to get into it. Fuck it, I'm out. I've been doing this for 45 minutes. You've got a few more minutes that you can listen to me for. So, given the recent situation with the unnamed illness that's going about, there's no like sharing cars and whatnot to get to work, so I started riding my bike to work, and we got hit with snow. We got hit snow really bad, so I had to start walking to work and walking back from work. And after a couple of days, that shit hurt. Like, I'm on my feet 11 hours a day in a pair of steel toe-cap boots. I've got size 14 feet. I've got corns, I've got calluses. Everything hurts. I've got blood blisters from all the time I'm walking. It was a nightmare. So I started getting a bus in the morning. I found that there was actually a bus that I could get. I got my bus, got it to work, and it's going great. I can't get the bus of an evening, though. Because of an evening, the bus leaves at 5 past the hour, once an hour. I finish work at 5. It takes me 10 minutes to get to that bus stop. So I have missed that bus, and I am not waiting the best part of an hour to get a bus. So when I could walk in that time it has taken me to wait, it doesn't matter how much it hurts. I will not stand in one spot. I will just march my ass home. Why don't I ride the bike, you say? Well, I started riding the bike and I got a puncture. That kind of annoyed me. I got another bike, punctured. So I have to buy new inner tubes. So I had to order some new inner tubes, and that took a few days to arrive. I say it took a few days to arrive. It took me a few days to get around to ordering them. So one day I thought, you know what? I've done a lot of walking this week. I really can't be arsed with doing another walk. My foot hurts, my ankle hurts, my toes hurt. Everything hurts. I'll get a taxi. So I pre-ordered my taxi. What was that? I don't know what that was. It was my beer, though. Oh, dear. Tell you what, it isn't my salty KP nuts. So one day, like, got to before the end of the day, and I pre-ordered my taxi, and I said, I need a taxi. Can you send me a taxi? Yes, we'll send you a taxi. We'll be with you in 10 minutes. So, end of the work day comes. I'm stood outside my office. I'm having a smoke. I'm waiting for my taxi. I get a message saying, we're going to be a little bit late. That's fine. That's fine. You know, it's 5 o'clock. Rush hour traffic, everyone's leaving work. I expect a little bit of a delay. However, I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And nearly 45 minutes go by. 45 minutes. Finally the taxi shows up. It drives right past me at first. Completely drives right past me. And like, rings me. I was like, I'm outside. I was like, no, you're not. You drove past me. No, I didn't. Because I'm lying in this situation, clearly. So I told him, no, turn round, come back and meet me. So he turns around, he comes back, he meets me, I get in the car. He tells me some bullshit about why he's late. I don't need the bullshit, just traffic. I understand it's traffic, but you could have at least given me a notification, because I stood out there in the freezing cold for 45 minutes, and here's where it really annoyed me. So I'm thinking to myself, at this point, this is usually the time that bus showed up. I could have just waited for that bus and it would have cost me £5 less to get home. Or I could have walked it at this point and it would have cost me £8 less. And my feet would probably hurt from it, but, you know, it still cost me £8. I could have got myself a McDonald's or a Greggs on the way home. Love Greggs on the way home. Love Greggs on the way home. But no, we're in a taxi, we drove to the main road. He's pulled out to take me home. What's in front of me? The bus that I could have got. And what happens? We sit behind that bus all the way to my front door. That's irony. I think that's irony. It's irritating, is what it pissed me off. really buttered my biscuits in the wrong way. Really did. That was annoying. That was really annoying. I had to pay more than I would have for the bus that was there anyway. I could have just stood in the cold at a bus stop. Ugh. But anyway, I'm going to end that one right there. No more ranting, no more rambling. I think I've kind of come to my end of my week's worth of ranting. That's just what I picked up over the course of this week. I'm not going to dive into any sort of entertainment news or anything like that because I ain't really got much to honestly speak about, and there's probably so few people out there that actually care. I'd be surprised if there's any people that are actually watched this far, to be entirely honest. But for those of you that have stuck around and have watched, thank you very much. Like the video. Share the video, spread it out, get my face out there, like share my ranting stories and my endless battle for the nuts. And yeah, I'll probably be back again next weekend. Hopefully I'll have some more crap to rant about, and hopefully you all have a lovely weekend, all have a few beers, and thanks for tuning in. Here's to you! Now I've got to do that stopping thing again, will it be instant?